I published my first piece on immigration as a problem in 1977. After I published it in the Center magazine, I got a phone call from a doctor in Michigan. I said to my wife, "These guys are desperate for work. This doctor is calling me from Michigan." Well, he wasn't calling me from medical services. He had read the article and he said, "I've looked you up, Mr. Graham. You're a Presbyterian. Presbyterians are supposed to tithe. I'll bet you don't tithe. But I'm going to give you a chance to tithe by serving on the national board of a new organization to reform immigration." It takes your breath away to have a thing like that happen over the phone on a Wednesday night when you're tired. So that dragged me into what became FAIR. And then I added to that some service on the CIS board, which I'm still doing. I'm on a CAPS board. I've been involved in those three institutions. I've watched the others with great interest and great admiration. Tried to stay in touch with Roy's and all the others that I could stay with. But I've been on one of the coasts or the other, and I can't be everywhere. I'm a pack rat, so I kept a lot of files from all these involvements in this movement. I actually wrote a little history on Unguarded Gates, and I thought, should I throw these things away? And historians don't throw things away. And I decided there was a memoir buried in there, in addition to the history. The history had to go back anyway, much past 1979, 78, 79. But from 78 to the present, I'm still alive. I'm still like to write. I had all these files. I had all these memories. I knew about half of you. So I decided to do a memoir. And the memoir, the cover of it is sitting right down there, and it will be out in 2 or 3 weeks. Harvard University Press, for some reason, turned it down. And the University of California Press, with which I thought I had a relationship, turned it down. So it's being published by Author House. They've given me a good frosty, put me onto them, and I'm very satisfied, and it will be out in 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll be able to get it at a ridiculously low price on either authorhouse.com or Amazon. And there may be other ways. Borders too, I hope. We'll do the best we can. But it's be printed on demand, and I hope that the cover, you'll take a look at the cover, because at least the cover is very engaging. Let me say something about this memoir, which I hope was one man's story of what he saw of the movement and the battle that the movement was involved in. This is not going to be a book that Frosty is going to find satisfactory. Or D.A. King, or Fred Elbell, or Ron Woodward in North Carolina, or Linda Tom Murray, almost any of you. You've been out there in this movement for a very long time, not longer than me, but a lot of you almost that long. John a little longer, and maybe some of you a little longer, but this is not an adequate account of your work. I wasn't with you. I didn't know. I didn't ride around on his motorcycle. So he gets a short shrift. A lot of people get a short shrift. So for that, I apologize. It was what I saw from my bench, and my bench was sometimes in the back a little bit. But those are the limitations of a memoir. It's what I heard and what I saw and what I thought from my position. It's focused a lot, I guess, on the big events, the legislation of IRCA, the 90 law, the 96 law. And the intellectual battles. I'm very interested in the intellectual battles. John Tanton says that there's a war of ideas going on. We're going to start to win. I started coming to these. John said there have been 32 of these things. I came to 31. I missed the first one. Didn't make the cut on that one, but I've been here. The intellectual talent in this room 15 years ago, I thought it was good, but 15 years ago they couldn't touch what we just heard. The intellectual buildup has been fantastic, and I'm interested in ideas and in the battle of ideas, and we have done some job. It's taken a long time. We're not finished. I'm very impressed with that. And when I say the buildup of ideas, I pay some attention to the great writers that help me turn the corner or win arguments or see the thing a little more clearly. We started out, we didn't have very many good writers. Then we got Bouvier, then we got Dick Lamb, then we got George Borjas, then we got Bernard Briggs, then now we got youngsters like Steve Camarata and Mark Krikorian and others whose names I don't have time to mention. And the richness of that and the explosion of the power of these books and essays and this research base and these voices has been very impressive. I want to finish by saying that I probably wouldn't have done this if I'd known how difficult it was going to be as I came to the end. One thing you have trouble with is when do you stop? Because the story of our battle I don't see right away shortly that it's going to stop and I could terminate the book. So I said, well, I'm 73. I'll just terminate it now. And so it ends in 2008. It ends when we don't know who's going to be the next president of the United States, but it's going to be bad either way. And I wrestle in the book with my sense of pessimism because of my Presbyterianism, that we all are, and the optimism that I like to feel, and that some of my friends feel, particularly Roy Beck. Every time I see Roy and say, Roy, they're kicking our butt, he gives me good reasons why he's kicking theirs, and a lot of us, all of us, in our own way. So I go back and forth, and I paid close attention to this. There have been some turning points. The whole history of this movement involves, among other things, people saying, I feel a turning point coming. I either feel we're going to lose and they're going to take over the country and it will be a different America and your grandchildren are going to say, what? Or you folks, and all the folks you represent back there, maybe we're going to win's a simplistic word, but we're going to turn the corner some way, some really good way, turn the corner. And 2001 came and I thought, that's a disaster, but it helps. Because it focused the immigration problem increasingly on as a national security issue. Then down came this great coalition, which I'm really smart about American government, right? I'm an historian of modern America. This coalition cannot be defeated. You got the President of the United States, you got both parties, you got every religious body, the denominational bodies at the head, you got every business person, the top corporations, all the way down. I probably left out some, ethnic groups. Media. Okay, we could go on. I was so depressed by the size of it. And it's been kind of, there have been some great moments in the last, we whipped them in 2004. They came back, well, they started coming in 2001 with the President of Mexico and George Bush, and they were going to do this. And I didn't believe we could stop them. 2008, we stopped them to the point where, they're getting desperate. And I don't know what will happen. I don't like, you and I both can give negative portents of the future and positive ones. I've tried to balance these out at the end of the book. I'm going to finish.
I'd like to
somebody said, what do you learn? Read the book. But I want to say I learned, we had the first meeting of the Fair Board, we had a really good time, and then someone said, this problem is really tough. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take 5 or 10 years. Well, I learned that one quite right. John Tanton knew more. He knew that when the ladies met at Seneca Falls, they didn't know it was going to take 80 or 90 years. If somebody had told them, I think they would have said, okay, let's get it on. I learned a second thing, and then I'll finish off what I've got to say. Not only did I learn it was going to take a long time, I learned that I was a member of the elites. College professors are a member of the elite. I didn't know we were. I thought there was bankers and financial people, and I learned that I was a member of the American elites, and that the American elites are totally out of touch. Totally out of touch. I hadn't realized. I thought college professors weren't out of touch, and the people in the media, but we were profoundly out of touch. And the disconnect between the people who run this country intellectually and financially and the normal people, I had not dreamed of how deep that was. The last thing I want to say is, I'm glad I did all this, John, because when you're a college professor, you have friends. The history department, they're your friends, and you know people down the hall. And they're good people. They work hard. They're professional. But they're not patriots. Now, I spent 3 years in the Marines and 4 years in the Navy, and so I did my service, and that was my patriotism. Then I was going to be a professor. When I got into this, I found that I had been invited into a band of patriots and friends. And that has been priceless. The book tries to express my great gratitude for that. Thank you.